Do you have friends that come from different islands in your university? Or are you a university student that studies far from your hometown? If you answer yes to any of those questions, please allow me, Sheila Nur Salsabila Passau from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, to present to you my research paper with the title University Students' Challenges on Studying Outside Their Hometowns. This presentation will consist of introduction, literature review, research method, findings, discussion, and also conclusion. Well, these days it is very common for university students to study far from their hometown. The reason is that because they believe that by studying outside their hometown, it will give them the best education, and education is the most important thing for themselves. Nevertheless, studying is never easy, let alone studying outside their hometown. Students will have so many things to deal with. Students will have so many things to overcome with. Students will miss out on their parents' treatments, and they will also miss out on their friends' business while they live away from home. Living and studying in a very unfamiliar and a very new place will need adaptation. According to the research that has been conducted by Monzalza in 2020, homesickness is the phenomenon that overseas university students often experience while studying abroad. However, challenges of studying outside the hometown are more than homesickness. Students have to go through the language gap, personal differences, adaptation, and many more. It also will be different between students that study abroad and students that study far from their home but still in the same country. The struggle of these two students are different yet similar. The main aim why this study is conducted is to know the challenges students that study outside their hometowns within the same country have to experience. Hence, the research questions that are used in this research paper are: first, what are the challenges that university students experience while studying far from their home? And the second one is, how do university students overcome those challenges of studying outside the hometowns? Now, we are going to move to the literature review part A, which is theoretical framework. There are two definitions that the author takes. First is definition of studying outside their hometown. Studying outside the hometown is a special phenomenon that has broad impact in which it aims to achieve one's success through a better quality of education. Another definition is that studying outside hometown is a phenomenon that is used to prove one's quality as independent and responsible person in making choice. Thus, according to the author, studying outside hometown is a process of developing it to improve the quality of a person through tasks of independence and responsibility. The second definition is definition of challenges. Challenges are the situation of being faced with something that needs great mental and physical or financial effort in order to be done successfully. In order to face a challenge, students do not only need a physical preparation but also mental and financial support as well. Well, next to the literature review part B, which is empirical review. Several researches have been conducted regarding study far from your hometown case study. There is a research by Monzalza from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta that was conducted in 2020, in which her research title is The Response of Overseas Students Toward Homesickness. And in Monzalza's research, she stated that homesickness is one of the things that many overseas students who choose to study abroad felt. The homesickness that the overseas students felt affect their mental health and their quality during study. Another research that has also been done by Sari in 2018 from IAIN Purwokerto entitled Kontrol Diri Mahasiswa Perantau dalam Menjaga Kepercayaan Orang Tua. She said in a research study that studying far from their parents challenged students' responsibility and how they could keep their parents' trust or not. Nonetheless, the researcher believe that the exact research on the challenges of the studying outside hometown within the same country or state has not been conducted before. Most of the researchers that have been done were all about the overseas students. Meanwhile, the researcher argue that even though studying abroad is challenging, however, it has different challenges from study students that study in a different region within the same country. The challenges might be related to the different taste of food or financial and money management. In that means, the researchers wants to elaborate what the students face during studying in a very unfamiliar place and how most students overcome those kind of challenges. Let's go to the next section, which is research method and instruments. This study was a qualitative small scale research study. This study was applied to university students that are in the second year of their study. The reason why the researcher chose the second year university students was because due to the pandemic, the first year university students cannot experience offline learning as much as the second year ones did. This research study was conducted by interviewing 5 university students from different 5 universities from all around Indonesia. Considering the criteria mentioned above, 5 selected participants were interviewed through a virtual meeting that used one supporting platform, which was Zoom. In this research study, several questions were given to the participants. There were 5 main questions in total. These questions were asked to know specifically the participants' experienced challenges during studying outside their hometown. Let's move on to the findings. There are 3 categories of questions that were asked to the participants. First is basic information, in which it is about the reason why they study outside their hometown and also which university they are in and why they choose that university. These 5 participants came from different 5 universities, which were UMY, UBI, Unhas, UTY, and UNESA. The reason they chose those universities was because it was their dream. Meanwhile, for the reason why they study outside hometown, 5 participants gave similar answer, which was to explore many things. The second category is how participants feel during their study and the challenges that they have faced. For this category, the most mentioned answer for the first question was that they felt excited at the very beginning and at the end it changed to fear. Meanwhile, for the challenges, cultural differences, language barriers, food, money management, and also homesickness are the answers most of them mentioned. And the last category is how they overcome those challenges. 2 participants answered adaptation. Other answers coming from the other participants were tolerance, praying, and also finding good friends. For the taste of food, self-cooked food was also mentioned to overcome those challenges. Moving on to the discussion. After doing interview one by one with all of the participants, author found similarities regarding the questions given. The responses author got about the challenges that the participants faced were mostly cultural and language differences, the fear of living far from their family, homesickness, and also money management. Since they are living far from home, it requires a lot of consciousness during their study so that they can adapt well. Cultural and language barriers were mentioned the most. But besides culture and language barriers, homesickness was also specified more than once. Living far from home might be a hard challenge. However, it was not the only challenge. Challenges like the fear of living alone and money management were also there. Author believed that these challenges mentioned were the basic challenges that almost university students that study outside their hometown will feel. To overcome those challenges, the participants emphasized some ways, starting from adaptation for the culture shock that they felt. Adaptation needs to be done. Besides adaptation, tolerance should not be forgotten. Telling yourself about your motivation is also important to strengthen your mind and to get used to the new taste of food. Exploring new things will be the best answer. To handle money management, not spending money overly can be done also, and finding good friends. As what the author has mentioned in the introduction regarding a research by Salsa in 2020 entitled The Response of Overseas Students Toward Homesickness, the author's goal to prove that the challenges that university students have faced while studying far from their home are more than homesickness. The study argues that during their study far from home, university students feel homesickness. Nevertheless, the result of this study displays that university students tend to get culture shock, especially when it comes to food and language. Therefore, this study shows that more than homesickness, cultural and language barriers, the fears of living alone, and money management are also the most challenges that university students often face. Finally, we've come to the conclusion of this research paper. Through this study, it was shown and proven that homesickness was not the main challenge and was not the only challenge that university students had faced while studying outside their hometown. To overcome those challenges, all participants gave some similar answers and also different answers. One of the most mentioned challenges that was mentioned are culture and language barriers, and to overcome that, majority of participants answered by adaptation. By adapting to the new environment with many differences, studying outside their hometown will be easier. Hence, getting used to the situation and environment will not only help the development of the students, but also teach them many things in life. This study will help students, especially university students, who face the same difficulties or high school students who are getting ready for their university life to know what they will face in the future and how will they overcome those kind of challenges. Furthermore, this study will be a reference for upcoming studies later by correcting mistakes from the author in order to gain the realist result. More specific research study is expected to be done. Based on this research study, it is advised that in the future, the researchers will create a more specific topic with a specific instruments related to this topic. Rather than using a qualitative method for the future researcher, is proposed to use the quantitative method to see the differences and make a more comprehensive research. If the future researcher has more time in the future, more participants will be recommended by the author. Thank you very much for paying attention. I'm Sheila from Salsabila, Passau, and see you in the next paper presentation.